Champika, can you hear me? Champika? Champika? Isivara? Kalpana? Can you hear me? Can you switch on your, you unmute and then just say, or otherwise, can you, right, okay, so, okay, thank you. Right, I just want to get a confirmation. Right, now, what we are going to do, so, basically, we are going to study the postgraduate executive diploma in bank management. I think we just after 2-3 weeks only we are starting the new session. That section is we call managing people in organization, right? The managing people in organization under postgraduate executive diploma. Right now, from today onwards, there may be around 10 classes. 10 classes mean 10 Sunday mornings, 40 hours. This entire section of the postgraduate executive diploma going covered by me under the topic of managing people in organization, right? The at present, the turbulent forces of technology, the digitalization, globalization, shifting the social values, change in the workforce are causing fundamental transformations to our traditional work organization, right? So the manner in which the organizations are managed now really change. Right now, the good example of COVID-19. Right now, managing such organization under this VUCA environment. VUCA mean volatile, complex, ambiguous, and more uncertain environment. Managing such an organization has become a critical challenge for everybody of us, right? And the management is a broad discipline which integrates knowledge from the diverse fields, from sociology, from economics, marketing. So management therefore is a broad discipline, right? And managing people in organization, that's a subject we are going to cover. Managing people in organization, remember, concern with the people dimension of the management, right? Managing people in an organization concerned with the people dimension of the management. So therefore, managing people in an organization it has paramount importance in the success of any organization, right? It's a paramount importance on the success of any organization, because why? The most of the problem in organization settings are human, right? And human and social, rather than a physical, technical, or any emotional failure. So therefore, organization to successfully perform, we need to understand the people dimension, right? Now, so that is what these entire sections of postgraduate course we are going to cover. Now, therefore, remember, people need to understand, the students need to get a knowledge about the organization structures and their theories and institutional management issues and importance of management skill, how you will cope up with this changing requirement in the present environment, right? And also, we try to develop through this 40-hour period to develop the your management styles and your leadership styles and theories as well, right? Now, once your completion of this course, so the students be in a position to able to what is organization structure and related theories, describe and compare features of some selected management style, the leadership style, and how you can implement or how can we use your knowledge you gain from the theory, try to put it into the practical work life situation, right? So therefore remember, so this entire area of managing people and organization as an important part irrespective of your position, because why, you as a manager, or one time you're going to be a manager, you are supposed to deal with people, right? So it is, as a manager, what time you need to be as administrator and you may be a leader. For that you need to understand or knowledge about strategically importance of these your skills, all right? Get the work done from employees and how we are going to face these management issues under this change management, right? Now these are the some of the areas we are going to dealt with. Okay, right. Now I just give you a brief description, very brief descriptions about the importance and the aims and the objective of managing people in organization. Right? Now remember one important point. Now what I'm going to discuss with not normal common management. Now, I'm going to look at it in a more modern, more contemporary way of look at it, these issues, right? Okay, for that, I have to refer a lot of uh, textbooks, what are the courses conducted by CA, Chartered Accountant, CIMA, right, MBA, and all we try to cover while studying this subject. Now let us look at it now. What is the syllabus of this managing in people in organization, right? So basically I have identified there are 6 modules in this syllabus under people in organization. You know, the 6 area are basically organization. Right now, this 6 area I may going to cover maybe organizations part. I may cover today as well as next week because it's a huge area, right? And management skills also may need 2 days, right? Managing of people also may need 2 days, and the balance 3-4 days I may use to cover the others 3 segments, right? Because it's not so much, but we have to spend more time for the first 3, maybe 6-7 weeks, right? Okay, so what we are going to touch today, the organization part, right? Now uh, okay, now this is the one. Remember, your examination is covered earlier. What happened? The earlier syllabus we had it some 70% of overall assessment, and for the exam, and there are 2 assignments. But remember, now it is not the case. Now this particular exam you are going to cover only written exam, no any assignments. So for that 3-hour paper, once you complete this section, that is people in many organization, this question paper consists of 7 questions, which of 5 should be answers. So each questions carry 20 marks. That is the assessment, right? Now, not assignments and also you are fortunate enough in that sense. But only thing, you need to attend to these lectures. That's the important thing, right? Please, I will be very much appreciated if you can join with me for discussions. Now, say for an example, uh, I can see your names in the other side, but better if you cannot understand, please put a chat there, or maybe unmute and uh, uh, right, admit uh, and tell if you're not understand or understood, please call me or put the chat or maybe unmute and just tell me to repeat it, right? So important thing here, so you need to be attentive to this class because the tune is not enough, right? Because I will going to explain to you more than the tune, right? I can't tell you all the textbooks information to not know. So when I explaining, I will tell a lot of practical examples. Clear? So therefore, your active participation is important. I know if sitting here for hours is a difficult task, but we will have a break in between somewhere. It depends. Maybe around now 8:30, maybe somewhere around 10:30 or 10:40. We will take a break, 25 minutes break, and then we continue. Now this is how I'm going to be with you the next 10 classes. Okay, right, go back again to the syllabus. Now what are the things we are going to discuss under organization? What are the things we are going to discuss under organization? First, these are the areas we are going to cover, but maybe today we can go up to 5-6 areas, but we continue next week. So what are the things under organization we are going to cover, right? Okay, first we have to look at it, what is organization? Then their roles and responsibilities. Then we're going to look at it very briefly, organizational objective, mission, missions, and things like that, right? And then we are going to discuss again very briefly what do you mean by a strategy, organizational strategy, and how you create value for your stakeholders, and structure. So organization structure, we are going to cover very large area. And then organizational culture, what is organization, power, authority, and then we are going to discuss a little bit of communications. So these are the sub area covered under the headings organization, which we are going to start it today. Okay, right. So certain things, if he's not in your handout, you can jot down your note, or you can note it down in your some notebook or notepad, or whatever the things which is not in the not in this presentation, you can put it down. And also you have a liberty to interrupt me, right? And please ask me any question. Okay, so we are trying to make it this entire people in organization area maybe is very interesting to you, irrespective of your position, because you are one day, as I explained you earlier, going to apply all these things what you have learned. Okay, right. Now, this course basically, now this course mainly focusing management, right? This course mainly focusing basically management, especially bank management in an organizational context. That's a bank's context, right? This course basically mainly focuses on management in organizational context. So therefore, remember, one prerequisite in understanding management is to understand the concept of organization, right? Okay, right? So that's the important things. This course is purely or mainly focuses on management. In organizational context, therefore, one prerequisite in understanding management is to understand the concept of organization. So without understanding about the organization, you cannot talk about the management. So that you need to understand. The whole organization will have a unique set of goals. Every organization have a different type of goals. That's also right. And which are set up, this organization also set up to meet the variety of needs of the people. That is why organization exists, right? So therefore, let's look at it. What are the definitions given by various people uh, pertaining to the the organization? Different scholars have given a different uh, different basically different uh, definitions, right? Now let's look at it, some of the definitions, right? First we need to understand what is an organization. Now organization, a group of people, what is Stone and Freeman, that mean he is the first, the one of the scholar who written a lot of textbooks about this management, right? And he said a group of people working together in a structured and coordinated fashion to achieve a set of goals. That basically means the group of people working towards a common objective, right? Some common objective. That is what the Stone and Freeman definitions about the organization. There are some other scholar talk about organization is a tool used by people to coordinate their action to obtain something they desire or value. Right? Now today we are talking in business. What we are providing? We are providing value to the customers. Right? Remember, so today's business we are talking about values. I think you may learn under CRM the CVP, right? What is CVP? Is customer value proposition. So what organization try to do? Add value to your customers' offerings, right? Okay. Now, there's another reason in 2010. There's one guy, there's another two scientists called Robbins and Clotter. They explain what is organization is a deliberate arrangement of people uh, to accompany some specific purpose. There are more definitions, but I am going to touch with you the very latest, the definitions about organization, which is developed by Buchanan and Husansky, right? So don't worry about the pronunciations of the name, but is important in today's context. There are many definitions, but the latest definitions covered under organization by, especially for CIMA and CA and CFA, about this person definition, right? What is that? Now you see, every definition have the certain common characteristics. If you really look at it, some common characteristics, right? So first we'll discuss the Buchanan definition. What now? There are some key words here. Organizations are social arrangements for the controlled performance of collective goals. You see something little different, no? Right. Now, what do you mean by a social arrangement? So you need to understand. Organization is a social arrangement. That means it's basically is a social and economic activity to some extent. Organization is a social activity, right? Social and economic activity. And because what do you mean by a social? Social means someone working alone cannot be classed as organization. So the moment you say organization, there are more than one people, one person, collections of people. That is why it called social mean. Social mean, someone working alone cannot be class as organization. Organizations structured to allow people to work together towards a common goal. That is why social arrangement. So therefore, organization, remember, it is a social arrangement. One. Then the second part, we say it is an, collective goals, right? Collective goals. What do you mean by a collective goals? Now, organization define uh, different organization goals. Now, say for an example, goal of a school. What do you mean by a goal of a school? What may be the goal of a school? Basically, to educate the people, right? Educate the people. What is the goal of that company? The company's goal is to earn profits, right? Remember that. So therefore, so collective goals are there. So goals are organizational final expectation, right? So one we look at another key important area is control performances. What do you mean by a control performances? Right? So control performances. Now, say for an example, you set targets, or you may, as your organization, as bank, you put some targets. Now, organization will have systems and procedures in place in to ensure that groups group goals are achieved in a some way, right? So that is what you call control performance. There is a way you need to achieve your organizational goal. Now I'll take an example, then only you will get a better understanding. You take an example, say for an example, you take a football team. Take an example, football team, right? Okay, now football team is an organization or not? If you really look at it, football team is an organization. Why I am saying? Now say social arrangement. Why? For a football team, there may be a players, number of players. I think 11, no? 11. I think 11. 11 players like cricket team. There's 11 players, right? So that is social arrangement. Football team is social arrangement. Consists of more than one people, right? Okay, that's understood. Then you look at it. What is your goal? So goal means, so your football team try to get more number of, what is your objective? Get more number of goals, right? That goals mean hitting, get more number of goals. So that is your collective goals. What is control performance of a football team? So then you have a different, you have a different task, right? Goalkeeper, front people, middle people, back people, right? There are people and they must have to work accordingly. So goalie not going to the front of the other side, right? So you are given some, you need to perform in the football team in a controlled manner, right? There may be a forward, back, middle, right? Okay, side. So then you see you have to perform. For that you may have training, you may get some structural arrangement in the football team in the ground like that, right? So now I think you understand. So what do you mean by an organization? So therefore, some of the common objective of whatever the definitions given by different scholars, what are the common thing? One common thing is group of people. Organization mean group of people. That is what we call social arrangement, group of people. And you may have a common objective. All these organizations may have a common objective. Second one. Third one, interactions with each other, right? So that is what you call an organization. Remember, whatever the definition, there may be a common characteristics of an organization. Number of people, group of people who work together to achieve a common objective. That is your collective goal. For that, need to do that. You have to perform in a controlled manner. Right. Now I think you may in a position to understand the what is organization in a real sense. Clear? Right? Okay, I hope you understood. So please, if you are not understood or if you want to clarify, please unmute and tell me, sir, can you repeat it again? I will do that. Right? Okay, and remember, this is postgraduate diploma. Right? So therefore, executive diploma means one of the key course conducted by IBSL, and it's have a wide recognition in the banking fraternity. So therefore, you must have to enrich that to qualify your qualification. You must not only having your title, but also you need to show your management. So I know what is postgraduate diploma is, right? Okay. So now let's look at it. Why we need organization, right? Why we need organization? So remember, there are three things. Three things. Organization fulfill three things. Organization enable people to share skills and knowledge. Share skills and knowledge. Now, this can enable people to perform tasks that they would be unable to achieve on their own, right? So knowledge can also be shared between all the people within the organization, right? So that's important thing. So you may have some knowledge, right? You're not known everything, but whatever the known, but your specific skill, your knowledge, you can share among the other people, because a group organization is a group of people. So other people also can share your skills and knowledge. First one. Second one, specialize. Now, individual workers can concentrate on a limited type of activity, So every individual workers, remember, can concentrate on a limited type of activity. Now this, what happens, this allows them to build up the greater level of skills and knowledge, then they would here in an organizational context, right? So that is specialized. So your specialized knowledge can be contributing to the organizational achievement. You may more concentrate on one type of activity, because that will facilitate for contributing to your organization. Next one is the pool resources. So that means your time and money you can save, and can be more concentrated on to get the more effective and efficient utilization to achieve your organizational goal. So therefore, remember why we do need organization, right? Enable people through the organization, share skills and knowledge, specialize, pool resources. Now, what is all these things? It providing the synergistic impact. So what is synergistic impact? Is 1 plus 1 is more than 2. If you are trying to do individually, then what is the things you're going to gain is more than what you are working as a group. So therefore, organization result a synergy, right? The more than an individual could on their own. That is why we need an organization. I think you understood that part. Okay, now take for an example for explain this issue. I'll give you always, I try to put your example to understand. Now, say for an example, you're working in a bank. Now, your bank want to arrange some social activity or social event. You were given task by your uh, head management for you to arrange a social event. Say for an example, for these days the distribution of some food material or whatever to needy COVID-19 block down people. Now that is your event, right? So now what you going to do, right? So what is the now what the best way you can do this thing? Forming a committee. Committee is an organization. What do you mean by a committee? Now, committee means there are different set of people are bring together for a committee. Now, we also have some different committees, no, right? So, for your organization, your bank must ask you to come up with to organize social event. So, you need to better to have it in a committee. Now, why you will call different people, different skills guy, right? Different guy. So why you need different skills? Because there are some people we can organize, can get talk to people, uh, sorry, get some views on that. So you need different skill. While you are working with the committee, you save time. So that means your pool resources, right? Or rather than you are going to do all the things while having some people, one factor, you are going to save your time. Skills mean, there are some different skill people who can communicate, can organize it, and things like that. And some are very specialized. So they know how to talk to the people. Their planning is superb. So having a committee, so that means you can do your job proper than doing your alone. That is why we need to have an organization, right? I think you understood that concept as well. Now let's look at it, the type of organization. Now it is not there. I think the guy has putting the wrong slide, but doesn't matter. Now, type of organization. I think is you in your handout. It is heavy. So organization can be um, identified as based on according to the ownership, according to the ownerships, right? 1 minute, I just switch on the right, right, based on according to the ownership. Now, ownership mean the type of organization based on the sole proprietorship, partnership, limited company. So, organization according to the ownership, you can categorize one aspect. Then, according to the objectives, also you can categorize the organization, whether it is a profit objective or non-profit objective. So examples like private organization going for profit, and there are some chart, I mean the some institutions like Red Cross and all work for benefit of the society, right? Then you can have organization, again you can divide it based on the size. Now, in Sri Lanka, we have micro sector, SME sector, large sector, and all. So banks also, you can based on they can divide the based on the size in terms of assets. The banks, the larger banks where you having asset base over 500 billion, we call them as a large bank, right? In Sri Lanka, we have some banks like that, like People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank Commercial, NSB, then Sampat, and then Sampath and HNB are categorized as large bank. And then we have a 200 to 500 billion category. So we call them as middle bank. So there are some banks comes under that category, and the larger bank sector goes beyond less than 200 billion. So like that, so the banks can be categorized based on the size in terms of assets. Right. Okay. That's I just give you an example how organization can be categorized, right? And according to the nature of businesses, whether it is a services or whether it is a products, likewise we can categorize based on the base. And according to the geographical dispersion also, some organization can be categorized based on the locations of your organization. And also nature of a liability, right? Also you can classify. Then, and also based on the economic activity, right? So likewise there are ways and means of organization types. And another type of organization, we call them as formal and informal. Right, I'm just explaining to you what are the type of organization. So formal and informal organization. So formal organization is usually created by the management, where the informal organization naturally emerge as a result of regular interaction. Right, regular interaction. Now formal business organization objective may be maybe various purpose, maybe the profits or different purposes, but informal organization, there's no any specific objective. Right. Now I just give you what is the difference between formal and informal. Now formal, you can say it is leader is appointed by the management. Is informal, the leader is appointed by the members of the group. So those are some of the differences between uh, between formal and informal. Then you have some important things you need to understand. There are some profit versus non-profit organization, right? If you really look at profit-oriented organization, their primary objective is what? Maximize owners' wealth. Try to give more return to your shareholders, right? But this non-profit organization primary objective, maximize benefits to the beneficiary or maybe to the society, right? And secondary objectives in the profits first organization object as to how to maximize owners wealth, right? So here we're contributing to economy in terms of efficiency, in terms of effectiveness and things like that. And just I'll give you importance of organization. There are some organization, profit-making organization, as well as non-profit organization. Right. So that we have just come to a conclusion of what is an organization. Right, I think you clearly understood what is organization, how to define an organization, and why do we need organization, and then we discuss the type of organization, right? So these are the things, actually what I'm telling you is at MBA level, sharing knowledge to you, right? Okay, right. Now, having understood what is an organization, right? Okay. So whether you are okay with the uh, this organization, okay, you clear, right? Any more clarification? Suranga, you understood? Some of the names I can't see it from here. Uh, so Suranga, you understood? Okay. Asela, you can put a chat, right? Then I will get the feedback. Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. So if you have any problem, I'll just leave it open to anybody can just unmute and just ask from me. I will go from that point, right? Okay, going back again to the our theory, the notes part. Now we are going to discuss another important area about the organization. So that is, we need to understand. Okay, so I think everybody knows all these things. What we are going to discuss is vision, right? Vision. Now, vision, we are going to discuss. I think either I will take or somebody will take in your exam, in your syllabus. There will be some part of strategic management, right? I don't know who is going to do, but so there you are going to discuss details of how to prepare your strategy plan, right? Any organization, according to the central bank as our regulator, we need to prepare a three type of plans. One plan is strategic plan, second plan is succession plan, third plan is BCP, that is business continuity plan. So every bank must prepare three type of plans. The one plan is strategic plan. I think all of your organization, all of your banks is having a strategic plan, right? Usually for 3-year period. So there, of course, under strategic management, you are going to learn more on that, right? But here also we need to understand within an organization, because organization need to work some direction, the vision. So vision is how you see the organization in the future, maybe another 3 years time, maybe 5 years time, is provide a panoramic view. So that means how you can see the organization in the future. Or some people are talking about picture of the preferred future of your organization. Right now, sometime when you having kids, right? How your child going to be in the future, right? Likewise, organization, you must have a vision, because actually some people are talk about vision is a lighthouse. Pradipagarya. Lighthouse mean it is not your final destination, but lighthouse show you how to go to your final destination. So visions like that give you an organization, right? To where your organization to go, right? It's some sort of a roadmap in that sense, right? Because whatever these visions you prepare should be inspired and aspirational. Okay, so if I now ask from you, I don't want to ask because you are not in front of me, otherwise I can ask, but at least you think. What is your organization vision statement? How many of you are aware about your organization vision? Your banks. I think you all are most probably your bankers. How many of you are aware about your organizational vision? Oh, you know what is organization vision in your bank. Now, I just caught some points here. Now, if you look at it, don't quote, I'm not a Sampath Bank person, but if you say, what is a Sampath Bank? Anybody from Sampath? What is the Sampath Bank vision? The growing force in Sri Lanka financial services. That's a Sampath Bank vision. I think I'm correct, right? Then, so that's a growing force of in Sri Lankan financial services. That is the direction they are giving to their members. And what is the central bank vision statement? I've just given an example, right? Central bank vision statement, they talk about our credible and dynamic central bank contributing to the prosperity of Sri Lanka. So that is the central bank vision. Now, if you really look at it, the more IT-based company, so the richest person in the world today, right, is Amazon guy. Now, what is his vision? He said, to be Earth's most customer-centric company. Earth, customer-centric company, Earth, local, right? Where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy on online. Anything if you want to buy on online, So that is my vision. Now he is going for that direction, That is why he became a number one rich person in the world today. Because his organizations are directing towards that direction. That is the importance of vision. So therefore, remember, every organization must have a vision as to be established, and that is we give you the direction, the organization you need to go, right? And whatever the vision statement, as I explained to you, it should be something what you call inspirational and aspirational, something you feel it. Or paputa vadin nodi. Then only you try to do that. Okay, right. Now let's look at it. Some of the objective of vision. So visions bring people together. Is a binding glue. Right now we discuss what is organization, group of people. Now this group people work together. So therefore we shall do that part around a common tree. Then you can see its vision will facilitate to coordinate the work of different people, because everybody knows where we need to go, right? And also itself, everyone make decision. We know exactly what is our final destination, right? So, and also it's bring the foundations of business planning. Any strategy planning, any organization, we start with the vision. So it's the foundations of business planning, right? And also remember, challenges the comfortable or inadequate present state. So it tells you challenges, or what are the sort of challenges we need to face going to that directions. And you can say incongruent behavior more noticeable. If somebody is not going with that direction, so it can be easily identified. So therefore, visions, I'm just very briefly touch, right? Visions, what is vision? Why vision is important for an organization, right? That's the important things. Okay, right. So now, the moment you understood the vision, you know what is the next. The next is definitely is the mission. So what is mission, right? So mission is basically is talk about the uh, the purpose of your organization. Now, the moment you read any organization mission, if you read any person's organization mission statement, you know what type of business they are in, right? So mission statements talk about that, what sort of businesses they are in, right? So mission, right, basically is talk about the purpose of existence, why your organization is existing, right? Now let's look at it, some of the uh, so mission is try to make it your vision reality. Right now, I think vision is a dream. No, now what is a vision? It's a vision. Now, if you want to make your dream in the real life situation as a through incidents, and that is vision, right? Okay. Now, if you look at the take the same example as Sampad Bank. So, what may be the Sampad Bank mission statement? So, what he's saying is to be the most innovative, trusted and best process quality provider of financial services in the region, right? To be the most innovative, trusted and best process quality provider of financial services in the region. Now you read this statement, you see they, from reading alone the vision statement, we know what sort of business they talk about. Financial services, everybody. Now you take the Amazon.com mission statement. Now see whether you that mission statements talk about their business. What is Amazon new mission statement? We try to offer our customers the lowest possible prices, the best available selection, and the utmost convenience. So they talk about what anything you want. So I try to give it very low price, best selections, and very convenience to it. So they talk about all these things, right? And remember another important thing. So therefore, what are the areas you need to cover under a good effective mission statement? So whatever the mission statement you are going to talk about, you need to talk about your product and businesses. So they need to talk about product and businesses. They need to talk about market and specific requirements of his customers. Now, if you really look at it, Sampath, right? They talk about market. What market? Financial market, right? What they are going to provide? Services, fulfill the financial requirement. Technology and the operational capabilities. Another area talk about in the mission statement. Now, Sampath, I will take Sampath as an example. I'm not a Kade and deny Sampath, but I just give an example, right? Now, to be the most innovative bank, that is, it address about the technological aspect. Some people are talking about cutting edge. Now, I think HNB is talking about the cutting edge financial providing company, cutting edge, right? Some people are telling different way, right? More state of the art. Some people are telling same thing. Let's talk about the present. They are using present technology. Core values of the organization. They talk about the values, but today, remember, sometimes these values are bringing to a separate statement called value statement. But remember, earlier, there won't be any value statement for an organization. These value statements are built into the mission statement, right? Okay. And interest of key stakeholders. Now, who are the key stakeholders of your organization? Your employees, right? Your customers and your owners and the society. So what they try to do, they try to develop your staff, right? Educating them, fulfill the customer's requirement, and well-being into the society. So mission statement, to some extent, you need to support the for satisfying entire stakeholders, right? And the market they talk about the region. Now Sampath is talking about in the region, the Southeast Asia, entire region, not only Sri Lanka. So you see, a good mission statement, therefore, try to cover all these important elements, right? Okay, clear? I think you understood that purpose. Now the mission statement, therefore, having some key elements. One is the purpose. Why does the organization exist? Second, strategy. What is the strategy? What does the organization provide? Here is the financial product and services. Purposes, strategy, and policies and culture. How your organization carry out all these things, right? How they do? Providing better uh, uh, new technology, maintaining certain expectations of our stakeholders and things like that. And value. Now, how they create a value to the people, come up with new technology and improving the operational capability. So therefore, key elements in the mission statement can be, say, purposes, strategy, policies and culture, and the values, right? These are the areas we need to look at it when you develop your mission statement. Say, for an example, once you completed your this course, you are putting to the strategy department, and you were requested to come up with new mission statement for your organization, right? You was asked to put into a new vision statement for your organization. So then you must have an idea now, what are the really vision statement mean? How to prepare the vision statement? What are the key components of a vision statement, right? What are the key elements in the vision statement? So what are the areas we need to consider in your preparations of vision statement, right? Now, I think you understood what is meant by mission statement, because mission statements, it is the present situation, the present actual uh, activity, right? You are going to support your vision. Right now, you see, we discuss first what is organization, why organization is existing. So then we discuss what is vision for an organization, and then we discuss what is the mission for an organization. Okay, now can anybody, I'm just to get it involved here, right? Can anybody tell me, if I ask you to differentiate vision and a vision, for example, right? How can you differentiate? What do you mean by a vision and what do you mean by a mission, right? What is vision and what is mission? Can anybody tell me over the phone, unmute and tell me? I know it's very difficult to get that. මොකක් අර ඉබ්බගේ පිහාටු ගන්නවටත් වැඩි අමාරුයි කියනවා ඕගොල්ලෝගේ වචනයක් ගන්න. තමයි try කරන්නකො. Right? මොකක්ද මේ vision එකේ වෙනස්කම? එක වෙනස්කමක් කියන්නේ. So what is the 1 hour has gone now, right? I think you learned. So what I am trying to do, I try to give you maximum what I can give for you. It is your duty to extract it, absorb it, right? For how to absorb, so you need to be actively involved with me if possible. If you can share with me some of the things what I am telling you, right? So if I giving you a task, right? Okay, what is the difference between, or what is, how to compare vision and mission? Right. First point, simple. You don't want to look at it more sophisticated thing. But what the thing what you have learned up to now, can anybody tell me what is the mission and what is the mission? One difference?
Vision is a long-term one, and
Yeah.
mission is a short-term one.
Okay, good. Very good. That's sort of, so who, what's your name, Puta? If I don't mind, is like to tell?
Kavindra, sir.
Kavindra. Huh?
Kavindra.
Which bank you are?
From National Savings Bank.
Ah, right. Okay, good. So it's nice to hear from a person who I'm associated, right? Okay. Now the vision is a short term and a long term, and also remember, is a vision is a very broad, and in that case, is a mission is a very narrow. So that's the one, as Kavindra mentioned, is a long term and the short term, and also remember, it is an effect. The vision is an effect and mission is a cause, in that case, cause and effect, right? And then remember, vision is a futuristic. So therefore, vision is a current, right? So where the organization is going to be, right? Mission is trying to make it happens, right? That is why it's called current. And the directions and the purpose driven. Likewise, you can say many definitions or many differences between people, vision and missions, right? Okay, so I think you get an idea, because we are going to discuss, if you are going to cover the strategic management. So there are a lot of cases given. So you were given a task to develop a vision, gave you a case study, and you was asked to develop a vision for that new organization. Okay, so we are not going to touch much more on that. We are going to cover very briefly what is vision and mission. Right, now I think up to now you understood what is organization, why organization we need, and what are the type of organization, what is a vision for an organization, and what is a mission for an organization, right? Okay, going back again for our tutor again. So let me now going to discuss, right, the next one. Once you've done the mission, and you need to have a goals now, right? Okay, goal. Now, who is Meansberg? You know, the Meansberg is a famous management person is a Canadian guy. Now he identify, now goals basically refer to desired targets to be achieved in the future. Desired targets achieved in the future, right? So Mintzberg so defines goal as intention behind an organizational decision, right? So that is why organizations are there to achieve your organization goals, right? And it is very again, the word is goal also is a very broad terms, right? So therefore goals, remember, are more specific than a mission statement. It's further brought down. Now you say, for an example, what are the type of uh, goals you can set? What are the type of goals you can set? So for an example, I just give you: to increase the net asset of owners, to enhance the employee welfare and development. Then you can say to maintain market share or slightly improve your market share. Maximize customer expectation, achieve financial stability, then future fulfill social responsibility. So these are some of the goals. Right now, I can remember one time the Bank of Ceylon had set some goals. They want to become a 3 trillion bank. One time, 3 trillion bank. It's a very good one. 3 trillion bank. 3 trillions in assets, trillions in profits, trillion in deposits. So 3 trillion bank. Now I think they have achieved, right, all these things. Right. So those are the goals. Right. Asset 1 trillion bank, 3 trillion bank. This is terms of asset, terms of deposits, and terms of profits. Okay, so these are some of the things you need to understand. Okay, right. So goals are because goals are there to achieve your mission. Right now, mission is there, so then the goals, missions is there, and then missions further brought it down to goals. So every organization, so therefore, meet goals. So basic goals of any organization, remember, should ideally be to serve the human society. So that is the final expectation of any goals, right? Okay, so now I think you have a little understand about what is a goal, right? So then the next one, what we are going to discuss with you is the is what you call the objectives. Right now, objectives are basically more specific future direction. Right now, goals are going further narrow it down to the objectives. Right now, say you take an example as a funnel. උණීලයක් කියන්නේ funnel එකක් ගත්තොත්, you know, the outer cover of the funnel is the vision. In the middle of the funnel, you see it is the mission. So further down, just before that small corner, you have the goals. And that the final thing is coming out from the funnel, you can say it's an objectives. Right? These are objectives. So objectives are very short term in terms of goals. But those are very specific. And that is why we call them as SMART. Right? Okay, that is why it's called them as SMART. Right, so it's a very famous acronym we are using for objective is SMART objective. Right now, what is SMART objective? Now, say for an example, a lot of people are aware about, they talk about objective should be SMART. Everybody knows what is SMART, but are you really know what is SMART stand for? Now somebody can say, I have my organization is improve my businesses. So it is not a SMART objective. It's very broad. right? So what is SMART stand for? Now, S means specific, clearly express, improve performance is vague. So you need to tell, right, very specific, right, very specific. Improving operating profit, yes, specific, right? Where you can measure some of the very improved performances, improve business is not a specific objective, right? It should be, we have to say, it should be a very specific, clearly expressed one. So MP is a measurable, usually in terms of quantifiable, right? Say for example, improve image. So how to measure? So now we have some techniques to measure image, but improve image, very difficult to measure. But if you say, right, uh, if you say improve your market share by 20%, yes, it is measurable. Now, if say, now this question is telling measurable means quantifiable. Example, improve image. Improve image is not measurable, but increasing operating profits to 20% of turnover is. So, if I put it the same sentences like this, measurable means quantifiable, improve image is not measured. But instead of operating profits to 20% of turnover, I put it like this. Increase the market share also can be measured like profits to improve your market share of 20%. What do you think? Is it smart or not? Can anybody tell me it's a smart objective or not? Can anybody tell me if I say is my organization going to achieve 20% of market share? What do you think? It's a smart objective or not?
It's not, sir, because the specific time period and it should be achievable, and those things have to be considered, and not only the market share.
No, forget about all other things. Just say achievements of 20% market share. If say another 2 years time, okay, we put it like that. Whether it is, I'm just asking whether it is a smart or not. Because one factor, it should be very specific, it should be measurable. Yes, both can be done, no, can be measured. It's a very specific market share, right? My argument is, if I said I'm going to achieve my market share, 20% of market share during next 2 years, whether it is smart or not. If
It's smart.
smart, you think it's smart, right?
Yes.
Sure. Right. Okay. Now let's look at the next part. What is the next part? Next part is achievable. Now, the first two is okay, but can you achieve 20% of market share within your 2 years? Now, say for an example, you are a deposit taking institution, right? Now, say your bank going, now your present market share may be around 10%. Say for an example, now you are going to achieve 20% market share increase. So that means huge amount of increase, right? The second part is comes achievable. Whether it's 20% market share within 2 year period is achievable. You know, in order to get a 1% market share in the deposit market, you need to get extra minimum of 10 million deposits. So getting 10 million deposit is not so easy, right? So therefore, remember, yes, why it is not smart, because that achievements of 20% market share is very difficult task. So that is the importance of the next word come smart is called achievable. But you need to put a challenging target, but it should be an achievable target. right? So therefore, in that case, Puta, that 20% achievements of market share for any organization, especially the banks, banks are competing each other. We have around 29 banks in Sri Lanka, right? 29 banks out of 6 and 23 commercial banks and 6 specialized banks. And on top of that, we have private finance companies, but not to that extent. But there are a lot of competition. Can they achieve 20%? And now also we have a difficult, why the central bank also given your guideline, you cannot increase more deposit rates. Also no bank is going to increase. Now today's present context is around a range of 5 to 6% for FD. So all banks are offering the same rate. So under these circumstances, achievements of 20% is little difficult. Okay, I think you understood now, Buddha, why it is not a smart objective, because it is not possible to achieve. Okay, clear? Understood now, right? The guy who told me, you understood, no? Why it is not a smart? Because
Yes, sir.
right, okay. Why it is very difficult, but you must have a challenging task, challenging objective, but it should be achievable. That is why it's called smart objective. Okay, right. Next one, the relevant means it's linked to the overall goals of the business. Now, you cannot say, okay, example, I will quote here, you are going to improve your businesses. You say, okay, I'm going to improve your market share, that's out. So you're going to improve your profits, for example, uh, by uh, by opening new branches in, say Maldives and like that countries, Bangladesh and like that. That is also you can improve your profits to opening new branches. But say your vision statement, you are telling, or your goal is telling, or your vision is telling, I am going to improve my business doing my businesses only in local. So then if you set an objective, you are going to improve your businesses through open up new branches in other countries are contradicted. So it is not relevant. Understood? Because the moment you set your vision, goals and vision, you are doing business and try to improve your business only in the Sri Lankan market, you cannot set target, cannot put an objective. You are going to improve your profit by opening new branches in other countries because it is contradicting to your visions and goals. Right? That is why it's called the relevant. It should be relevant. Okay, I think you understood what you mean by relevant. The last factor is, okay, you can say, I'm going to increase my market share. Yes, it is a specific and a measurable. Then I say, I'm going to improve my market share by 2 to 3%, right? Also achievable to some extent, right? And it is relevant. But still, it's not a smart. Why? If you not mention that the time frame, it's not a smart topic. Then you have to say, I'm going to improve my market share by 2%, doing business in Sri Lanka, right? During the next 2 years. So then only it's become a smart. So then remember, when you set an objective for your organization, that is why we need to understand what do you mean by smart. Right? I think now you got an idea about what is really mean by an objective, right? And there's another important things you need to understand. It is not there in your handout, but I tried to explain to you planning, right? Now, objective perform a number of functions. Remember, objective perform a number of functions. Now, what are these functions? We collectively call them as prime, is collectively call them as a prime. Right now you may remember this prime lands or something, you say, right, like smart, objective, also prime. So what do you mean by a prime? So objective provide framework for planning purposes, is provide framework for planning. So first, if you have a plan, so you must have an objective. So that objective perform planning purposes. Very good for the planning. So then objectives tells you also the responsibility, right? Explain the responsibility. In order to achieve this objective, who is going to perform? Who is going to take the responsibility, right? Who is responsibility for that? Right now, say for example, to achieve the branch target, branch and the staff, right? Then the area manager or zonal manager or whoever you are having the responsible for that area. And there's an AGM, he's responsible to that, DGM operation, like that. There's a responsibilities there. So objective, therefore, provide the functions of responsibility. And also objectives are provide integration function, because we discussed earlier what is organization mean work together. So objectives provide integration, goal congruence. That means so everybody knows where you need to go. So objectives provide the functions of integrations. And the next one, objectives provide a motivation. Can be used as a motivational tool. Why? When you set your target for more challenging, the moment you achieve your challenge targets, so you are being motivated. So therefore, objective can be used as a motivational tool, right? And that is the what functions performed by objective. The last part is the evaluation part. So how can you see whether you achieve or not your targets? How can you do the evaluation? The evaluation can be done based on your objective. So therefore, remember, the objectives are provided all these 5 functions of planning, responsibility, integration, motivations, and evaluation. Okay, I think you now have a clear idea about what is objectives, right? So now we are further dealing with some important area about an organization. As I told you, even though this subject is managing people, but it is a mixture of management and people, right? Organization. So therefore, you need to understand what you mean by these objectives, right? So then we are moving to the next sections. We are moving to the next part. You know who is Mr. Peter Drucker? Peter Drucker is supposed to be called him as a father of modern management, right? Father of modern management, right? Who is the father of management? Tell anybody now. He's a Peter Drucker is called him as a father of management or modern management. But there's a word there, no? Modern management. Can anybody tell me who is the father of management? Any volunteer? Who is the father of management? Now he is the father of modern management. Nutana Kalamanakarani Pia. Kalamanakarani Pia count. He also come up with, we are maybe going to discuss under management, maybe another 2 weeks time. Who is the father of management? Who developed a concept, the Rahi concept, developed 14 management or 30 management principles. Some of the principles still we are using. Some of the principles developed by him are still we are using. Who is the father of management? We have a singer on that name, is Sri Lanka, part of his name. Can anybody tell the father of management? We have a singer in Sri Lanka, the first name. Can anybody tell me who is the manager, who is the father of management? Huh? No idea.
F.W. Taylor?
No, S.W. Taylor is the father of scientific management, right? Father of management is what you call Henry. Who is the other guy? Henry Fayol, right? Remember, Henry Fayol, we're going to touch when we discuss about the management skills. So we are going to touch a little bit on that, right? Okay. Now he is the father of management because that was Fayol is long time ago, right? Now he's 99 at 2005. Now he's the modern management father. That's why he come up with basically the new concept he developed is what you call efficiency and effectiveness. Who developed that particular two concept is Peter Drucker. Right. Now just get an idea, right? Okay. Now, for example, you take objectives. Now still we are discussing objectives, right? Now objective for an organization, this Peter Drucker is said, so if you suppose your bank, any organization, insurance company or whatever your company, if you want to develop corporate objectives or that be for objective for your organization, you can take these 7 areas of uh, key areas which will your setting expenditure. That is why we call key resource areas. We call KRS. KRS means key resource areas. What Peter Drucker said, if an organization want to set objective for your organization, you can consider these 7, 8 areas. Basically, the 7 areas, right? He said, okay, you can set an objective for your organization based on your market standing. Market standing means market position. Another name for market standing is market share, right? You can set your objectives based on market standing, market share, right? Now, what is market share is talking about what products are to be sold in which markets and things like that. You know what is a objective. One objective you can say, now say in your preparation of your organizational objectives for your bank, one criteria you can say, what is objective you can put your market share. So some bank can say, okay, we are going to maintain our existing market share. That also a objective. Maintaining your current market share also an objective. Or improve your market share by 1%. Like that. So you can set objective based on market share. Clear? One. Second point, you can say from innovations. Now, what is the area? How can you set an objective from the innovational area? You can say the organization may have to decide whether it is going to be a technical innovation or product and development. So you can think about the innovative areas. So some banks set the objective. We are the first bank going to come up with some new technological new things, right? So some organize now say if I am again referring to Sampath, not because as I told you I'm not any affiliated, but Sampath always think about we are the first bank who come with some innovative idea. So everything, so they come up with and look at it our way. We are the first banks to come up with AI, right? Something like, who this is the first bank you introduce online, something like that, right? You can look at it to set your objective through innovations, right? In terms of technology or come up with research and development and things like that, right? So you can think to set your objective based on innovations. Next, productivity, right? You can set objective based on productivity. Now, productivity, is clearly related to profitability to some extent, right? Now, the productivity objects are basically expressed in terms of output per employee. Output per employee. Now, you can say, for an example, okay, deposit for employee, profit for employee. Like that, you will look at productivity concept, output per employee. You can set your objective based on that through productivity. cost per employee, then deposit for employee, profit for employee. Now, these days, your organization, with your preparation of your P&L or your accounts information or financial reporting, so you will have all this information, right? You can take one of these, right? So how can you improve your productivity? Deposit for productivity is now maybe 5, or you can improve to 10, like that. Okay, so productivity also you can use as a corporate objective area. Right, next is the resourcing. Now, resourcing is basically we can talk about uh, efficient and ethical uses of financial, physical, and financial resources. That is your resourcing. Right now, say for an example, many organizations set suitable objectives which will relate to the efficient use of physical and financial resources. You can set an objective on that ground. Efficient use of financial and physical resources. You can set uh, objectives in that resourcing areas. Okay, right. Then move into the profitability area. How can you use the profitability to set your objectives, right? Oh, that is, of course, everybody knows primary goal of any organization is profit. So you can put a profits, right? Profits, right, as terms of profitability. So it's a very simple way. Then you look at it, employee development and employee relations together. How can you set these two areas to set corporate objectives? Say for an example, now say under employee development and employee relation, so can say most organization develop corporate objective covering the relationship between management and the staff in terms of competency, in terms of skills and things like that. So you can see we want to develop our staff, the more competent staff in the financial sector. All employees are having degrees, something like that. So that is how you can set your corporate objective. Or otherwise, you can say every employee in my bank must have a banking qualification. You can set an objective. So that means, so people who join the bank, maybe you need to complete the banking exam within 1 year. I think commercial bank is doing that. Every employee must have a banking qualification. Otherwise, they cannot go to the next higher standard level, next level. Is make it compulsory. But today, whatever a lot of students are taking all these courses to get a 5 marks for your exam. That's also not a bad idea, right? For next promotion, 5 marks. But if you make it compulsory, all the employees, if you're working in a bank, must have a banking qualification. It can be considered as your corporate objective. You develop your employees, right? Okay, so that's another area you can think, set your corporate objectives. And the last part is what you call the social responsibility. Now, you see, there has been a remarkable increase in interest in setting objectives on social responsibility, especially during the couple of years, right? There has been a remarkable increase in in interest in setting objectives on corporate responsibility aspects recent past. Now, say customer protection, environmental protection, preservations of the environment, one of the or maybe sponsorships we can consider under social responsibilities. Right now, what we discuss under the corporate objectives, the areas any organization can be set, and these areas we call them as key results areas, and these areas were developed by Peter Drucker. Right? I think you understood now about the objectives. Clear? Right. Now let's try to understand what we have learned under objectives. Clear? Okay, so let's look at it now. You just try to summarize what are the areas we have learned under corporate objectives, right? Okay, so first we discuss what is objectives. We discuss is a more specific future direction, short-term weapon used by a lot of organization. There we discuss about the objective basically should be a smart objective, and then we discuss why we call them as a specific, why we call them as a smart. We explain the ingredients about what is smart and the real meaning of that. And then we discuss about the objectives comes under what are the functions of objectives. So we discuss under functions under the theme called prime. And then we discuss if your organization want to set objectives for your organization, what are the areas we need to look at it. So we discuss with the help of renowned Peter Drucker, the father of new management. He has explained to us these are the areas you can set objective for your organization. He said market standing, innovations, then we talk about the productivity, profitability, resourcing, then employee development, labor relations, so employee relations, social responsibility. These are the 7 key areas you can select to set your corporate objective for your organization. All right. Up to now, are you clear? Right? Please, I need some feedback from you. You are okay. Up to now, you're very clear what is organization and all things what we have discussed up to now. Right? Have you cleared anything? Okay,
Yes,
right?
yes, sir.
Okay, right. I hope you understood, right? Okay, right. Next, so 10. So we will go some more, right? Before you go for a break. Right. Now we move the next part. What is next part is what you call the strategy. Right. Now, what do you mean by a strategy? Right. Very simple means strategy means the ways and means of you're going to achieve your objectives. That's a very simple definition. Strategies are there to achieve your objectives. Now we remember from the beginning, missions are there to achieve your vision. Goals are there to achieve your missions. Objectives are there to achieve your goals. Strategies are there to achieve your objectives. Right? This is how it comes, right? Okay, what do you mean by a strategy? It's a simple definition. How are you going to achieve your objective? But once it's come to the postgraduate diploma level, you can't just say just a strategy, but it gives you a difficult meaning or different meaning to that, like organization. Now, there are key words here. Can anybody tell me what are the key words? Now, these are accepted uh, definitions developed by in 2011. That's a very famous scholars called Johnson, Scholes and Whitington. So that is the latest textbook used by uh, Sri Lankan universities, especially for MBAs, even for management, SOSIMA, CFA and all. And this is the recommended textbook used by all the lectures, so all the courses. So that that textbooks, recommended textbooks, explains what you mean by a strategy. Now, you see, it's not just achieving organizational objective. That's a very simple definition. But you as a postgraduate student, you need to give a very broad uh, uh, meaning or broad definition for strategy. Now in this entire sentences, there are some key words. Strategy is the direction, right? So what do you mean by a direction? Strategy is a direction. The moment you say direction is a keyword, if you want, just underline direction. What do you mean by the direction? Where business need to aim? That is direction. Strategy is a direction. What do you mean by direction? Where your organization is going to be? Right. Okay, that is direction. And then you talk about the scope. Scope, you need to underline. Direction, scope. What do you mean by a scope in that case? Scope means which market should businesses going to compete? Which area you are going to compete? For bankers, what area you are going to compete? So underline. Strategy is the direction and scope. Direction, keyword, scope also keyword of an organization. Of course, now we know what you mean by an organization. Over the long term, right? Why? Again, underline long term. Why not short term? Short term is may survive, but if you want to grow in the long term, right? It is important, right? So in the short term achievement, you may use some tactics. But the strategy is usually used for achieve something in the long term survival. Underline long term, right? Which achieves advantages. Now, what again achieves advantages? What are the advantages? What do you mean by achieve advantages? So achieve advantages mean strategy affect the firm's position against the competition. Against the competition. So what is your present position against the competition? So which strategy affects to change that? Changing achieves advantages. How your organization positions going to change through use of strategy, right? That is the achieve advantages. You see, then changing environments. Of course, you know what is changing environment, right? Now, changing environment. I told you at the very beginning, we are in a VUCA environment. VUCA environment. Sometimes people are called VUCA or VUCA. VUCA means volatile, uncertainty, complex, ambiguous environment. So, in this changing environment, can the strategy fall in line with? Are they flexible enough? That is strategy. So, strategy may be flexible enough to, right, change with the changing environment. So, that's another one, right? Changing through configurations of resources. What do you mean by a configuration? Right? So you need to figure out all these your resources, required processes, effective utilization of resources, right? All comes under competencies, all will comes under configurations, right? And resources, configurations of resources and competencies. In order to do all these things, you must configure resources and your competencies, right? And what is your final thing? Fulfilling your stakeholders' expectation. It is an obligated for fulfill the expectations of the stakeholders, right? And you see, that is a strategy. Right now, you see, just not just of words. These words give meaning. Every word gives some meaning. That is why we need to learn these things in a more broader sense. I keep on telling you, you are doing postgraduate diploma. You cannot expect the definitions of a diploma holder or certificate level students to define strategy. So they may define strategy as I explained to strategies are there to achieve your objectives. You as a postgraduate student, you cannot say that sort of answer for strategy. So you see now what is strategy. Strategy is the direction and the scope and organization over the long term which achieves advantages in a changing environment through its configurations of resources and competencies with the aim of fulfilling stakeholder expectation. It's a comprehensive answer. Every meaning is given, every word is giving a different meaning. Right? Now you see, so just because of defining something is useless. So you need to understand what this word means. Like organization, we said control performances, right? Goals and social arrangement. There's a meaning. Likewise, the strategy also having some, right? I hope you understood that part as well. Right. Okay. Now we're moving to, now you know what you mean by a strategy. Now, what is the thing we discussed up to now? We started from organization. From the organization, we discuss about the vision, missions, goals, objective, strategy. All right. I hope you understood. Okay. Any questions about the strategy? I hope you understood what it really mean by a strategy. Terunada, huh? Any feedback, Puta? But you feel it's something different. Huh? The difference, we are not just studying just words, but we are studying little more information. How is it? The Champika me keep you over there covered. If you want to tell, yes, okay, there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right, thank you. Okay. Okay, right. Now, before we break for tea, we may continue with the stakeholders as well, right? Okay. Now we move into the stakeholders. I know you know who stakeholder. So it's very simple way. Stakeholder, is a group of people or individual who has a interest about your organization. That's a very well-known definitions about the stakeholders. Now, remember the important thing is organization is a job is an obligated to fulfill stakeholders' expectation. You need to understand, right? So it's an organization job is fulfill stakeholders of obligations, expectation, right? It's an obligated, right? So as an organization, how you can create value for stakeholders? That of course you need to understand how an organization create value for their stakeholders. The stakeholders mean the people who are interested about your organization, right? And you can do it uh, those in three ways. But before that, we are trying to understand. I will come back to that. But before that, we are trying to understand who are the type of stakeholders. You see, the people who are interested about your stakeholders are your customers, suppliers, creditors, and things like that, right? And you first you look at it, try to understand different type of stakeholders, and then we are trying to explain to you how you can going to create value for your stakeholders, right? And first, stakeholders, some people can be categorized as connected, interconnected, and outside sometimes. Okay, so whatever, who are internal stakeholders? There are stakeholders further can be categorized. Now, stakeholder with the internal stakeholders are we call employees and managers, directors, and things like that. So, what are the expectations? So, employees' expectations, you must have a better return, better working conditions, job security, all these things. Simple. These are very common things. And so, internal stakeholders are having these expectations. And then we move into next the correct stakeholders. What are their uh, uh, expectations? Shareholders, as our main people who invested the money, their expectation dividends or capital growth and the continuations of your business. That is the shareholder expectation. And what are the customers' expectation? So value for money, product and services. I told you at the very beginning again, we discussed about CVP. What customers are buying today? They are buying value for money. That is why people talk about CVP in customer relationship management. I think you learn how to create CVP for your offer, right? Customers are expecting value. So suppliers, what they expecting? Paid promptly. So they want to, once you supply, they want the money back quickly as possible, right? And what are the financial providers look at it? Like banks, when you offer loans to our customers, what they are expecting. So we are expecting the repayments of finance. So that's what expectation, right? Uh, then we look at it, another type of external stakeholder we call community at large. You know, so they what their expectation is organizations not take any business decision which are negatively impacted your them. So community at large, so they're also interest party, so they're expecting not a bad thing from the organization. Then environmental pressure groups, right? You like, environmental pressure groups like that. The organization does not harm the external environment, but they're expecting. So the banks, not that is why banks come up with green lending and all, because so banks are supposed to give loans to people to damage the environment, right? So the government also expectations are different, because what they want taxes and job opportunities as well as compliance with regulations, all things what the government expected from the business people. And then the trade union is they also active part in the decision making process. So what the expectation to protect the employees and to support their active participation in business decision making. So that is the expectation to be recognized them as well. So therefore, organization must thus identify the relevant importance of different classes of the stakeholders. That is why we have a there is a separate analysis called Mandels's analysis, but that analysis is not necessary in your case here. But there's a way of how to identify the most important stakeholders. So there's a mechanism, but in your case, it's not important. But remember, so you as an organization, you need to understand the relative importance of different classes of these stakeholders, to what extent they have an impact about your businesses, right? So so that is the importance of stakeholders. And then having understood this part, who are the stakeholders, what are the type of stakeholders, and got a little understanding about the different type of stakeholders, to what extent they are going to impact your business. All these stakeholders are going to impact your business in the same way. All these stakeholders are going to affect your businesses in the same magnitude. So that you need to take a decision, right? Okay. Apart from that, coming back to our first one, as an organization, is an obligated to fulfill the stakeholder expectation. Now, one way you can fulfill the stakeholders' expectation by creating value for them, right? Now, how can organization create value for stakeholders? How organization create value for stakeholders? right? Okay, now let's look at it. There are three ways you can do it. One way is the control and coordinations of resources to achieve goals and outcomes, right? First one, control and coordinations of resources. You know, resources, as we know from the very childhood, resources are scarce, right? Therefore, we need to manage all the resources efficiently and effectively. So therefore, one factor is our duty for organization to efficient and effective utilization of resources. How can you do that? Huh? So for one is optimize utilization of resources, right? And the second factor, so we are trying to encourage team spirit. If you can improve the team spirit, remember, you can control, coordinate resources and outcomes. First factor, optimize utilizations of your resources and encourage team spirit. So one factor, you through that you can create value for stakeholders. Third one, proper directions. That is why we must have a proper vision and all. You must give a direction for your employees to go towards that achievement, right? And also, next one is innovativeness. So to come up with new things, new ways of doing things, right? Innovativeness. Now, good example I can quote with you, you know, in the body line, the garment factory, they have a systems called uh, getting suggestions from the employees, how to improve their productivity, how to improve their output. So so this is one major wastage they have identified is through needles, breaking of needles. So it's huge cost. So what employee has identified, so how we are going to fix this needle to machine, the sewing machine is the proper way, where the breakage is less, right? So that will employee contributing to the value of the other stakeholders, right? So you must have a system within an organization, right? So you need to have a control and coordinated use of these resources to achieve its organizational objectives, right? Uh, so that means the control means ensuring the correct procedure are followed and direct supervision, target, you know, culture, the support culture, all will facilitate for to save your resources. The second one, efficiency and productions of goods and services. Now, what do you mean by efficient productions of goods and services? Mean you must have a process design, right? If you relook at your engineering, reprocess your engineering, eliminating of waste, we have now, we call them as the lean management, quality circles, things like that, right? And embrace new technology and innovative ideas, so that through that you can improve efficient productions and goods and services. The last one is what you call the facilitating innovation, as I explained to you. Uh, so through the innovation, you must encourage your employees to always to come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things. So you must have a competition within your organization. Who bring the novel idea, innovative idea to be rewarded or maybe financially compensated, like that. So you must, in order to do that, organization must provide the cultural support, the structural support, and the leadership support, right? So organization can create value for stakeholders by doing all these three things. right? And that is how organizations support to achieve the value for your stakeholders. Control and coordination of resources, effective productions, goods and services, and facilitating innovation, right? I think you now understood the concept called the stakeholder importance, and then so we need to go for the next part, the most important part, how your organizational structure to be developed in such a manner to facilitate achieving your organizational goals, right? Okay, so before we go for break, now it's almost 10:30. So what we have learned the first 2 hours today, we discuss in greater length, again summarize what is organization, and then we discuss about the purpose of organization. So then we discuss in a greater length the vision, and the type of organization, and then the vision, mission. Then we discuss about goals, and we discuss about objectives, and then we discuss about the how you are going to what is strategy, and how we are going to create value for your stakeholders, right? So okay, so after the break we will back again. So please be in your front of your online screen around 10:50, between 10:50 10:55. So we will continue the most important thing, the organizational structure, right? We cover 12:30 till 12:30. We have a 4 hour, maybe another 1.5 hours. We going to cover the organizational structure, why it is important, how to how you benefit in the organized structure, the present organized structures we call as modular structure, outsourcing structure, then we call hollow structure. So there are new techniques, new things, right? Not traditional way of look at it. We are going to look at it in a different way about this organization structure. So we will back around 10:50, 10:55 between during these two times. So we'll back to continue the organization structure, right? Okay, so we have a break, come back another 20-25 minutes time. I leave the screen like this, right? Okay, so let me start now. So next 1.5 hours, what we are going to discuss with you, the organizational structure, right? The organizational structure. Now, what is organizational structure? Is necessary. A structure is necessary in order to facilitate the achievements of objectives. You see, in order to achieve an organizational objectives, so you must have an organization structure. Now, organizational chart is a graphical presentation about the structure. Organization chart mean is a graphical presentation about the organizational structure. So why we need a structure? Because it will facilitate to achieve the objectives. right? And that mean again, organization structure mean how your organization work is divided and allocated to perform certain activities areas, right? And actually it is basically is an outline the roles and responsibilities of individuals or group within the organization, right? Now the right structure, remember, ensure if you have an organization right structure, that means so resources are effectively utilized. Then and through have a better good structure, organizational activities are well monitored and controlled, right? That's another factor. Then if you have a better structure only, people are accountable, right? People are accountable, and it will also facilitate for coordinations of organizational activity, and has a sense of belongingness in this and the satisfaction of the working. So these are some fundamental the ground level benefit of a right structure. Right, now let's look at it a little different, right, in different way. Now, as I explained to you, the Mintzberg, the Henry Mintzberg, the guy from Canadian, in 1995, in year 1995, and he identified organization is consist of five major parts, or sometimes we call building blocks. Any organization is made up of five building blocks. Now, we need to understand the importance of the relative, the balance between these elements in order to achieve their organization goal. Now, and secure optimal competitiveness. That means basically what we need, how we are going to identify uh, different these building blocks, and how these building blocks uh, balancedly used by an organization in order to achieve the organizational uh, objectives, right? Now he has identified there are five subgroups or five parts. The first part is an operating core, right? Operating core. Now, operating core refers, what do you mean by an operating core? As I explained to you, this is not the normal textbooks. We look at it in a very modern textbooks, how they define an organization structure, right? So, organization is made up of five parts, or what you call five building blocks. One building block we call operating core. Now, what do you mean by an operating core? Mean refers to those individuals who perform the task of producing the product or providing the service. That means they are the people who really performing the particular task or producing the product. What is the cooperating activity he is carried out? That is what you call co. Now, in a small organization, right? In a small organization, and this will represent nearly all of the organization. But larger the organization, we require the more complex situation, or the co-operating is the small organization, maybe represent nearly all of the organization activities, but with the larger organization, these co-activities are more complex arrangement, right? You need to understand that. Okay, let's look at the second component part is what you call the strategic apex. Strategic apex. Remember, core and then strategic apex. Now here, so those individuals who formulate and implement the strategy and ensure the organization executes what we have developed, missions and all other things. These are the guys we look at it whether your plan has been executed or developed and executed. Implement a strategy. Two subsections or sub unit or uh, building block as a strategic epics. So the third crat is called the middle line. Now, middle line, the roles performed by them ensure that works of the operating core is consistent with the plans and the expectation of strategic effects. So, what the middle line mean? The role of the middle line, therefore, serves to ensure that the work of the operating core is consistent with the plans and expectations of the strategic epics. That means according to the expectations of strategic epics as well as core are consistently working according to the plan. So that is the middle line, right? Okay, so important is consistency, plan and expectation to be fulfilled. Third point is what you call sorry, technostructure or technostructure. Now, technostructure is a separate group of key individuals and team working in functions, right? Now, these are what you call basically a separate group of individual. They perform as a functions. Say for an example, there are separate functions done by human resources and finance, marketing, uh, and and their role is basically analyzes as well as uh, performance, right? So their job is to see all things are activated. That means example for technostructure is basically separate group of people for do marketing, HR and things like that. So the next one is what you call the support staff. Now the support staff is basically we call support the key functions of an organization. For an example, now we'll take research and development, right? So for a bank, we call some premises, right? These are supports guys, right? Supports guy who will facilitate the performance of the main functions of the organization. So therefore, according to the Mintzberg's identify five type of blocks, or sometimes we call five type of parts. Organization is he identified mainly five types. Now, these are the people who talk about operating core, the guy who's really performing. Then strategic efforts, we look at it the more strategical views, and the middle line who provide, make, ensure that the services are performance according to the operating core as well as the strategic capex. The techno savvy who will perform the functions, and the support staff mean they will give support to perform those techno structure. So there are five sub what you call the parts, sub parts. So five parts. Any organization made it up, or sometimes we call the building blocks, right? What are the five building blocks? Operating core, strategic capex, middle line, technostructure, support staff. Okay, now let's look at it how we are going to configure these five structure, all these what you call building blocks. And then based on that, now Mintzberg again identify six successful organizational structures. He has identified six organizational structures, right, according to Mintzberg. Now, different type of organization will place various levels of emphasis on each of the building blocks, right? So that means now just listen to me carefully. We explained earlier any organization we have a five type of building blocks. What are the 5 type of building blocks? Again, I'm just telling you. One is operating core. The other one is called strategic capex. Then we call middle line and the techno structure and the support staff. Right? Any organization having these 5 building blocks. For a bank also, you have all these guys. Right now, say for an example, for a bank, if you say there are operating co, more for the branch staff and things like that, operating co, and then you have a strategic capex. We look at it whether all things are happening. So they look at it from the top levels, right? The guys who will see whatever formulations are applied. So the middle level guys, the guys who are really ensuring that these activities are taking place, and to perform that we have a techno structure, some divisions, so some functional area who carried out marketing, HR, like that. And for support we have a separate sections called, maybe we call from uh, support systems as premises and things like that, or research and development will support the activities. So based on the different type of organization identified by Winsberg, is mainly consisting of emphasis on based on these each building blocks. Now, based on that, he has identified 6 basic structures. Now, first one we look at it, the simple structure. Simple structure, right? Okay, let's look at it. What is simple structure? Now, here the simple structure means the strategic apex. Now, possibly consisting of a single owner. Now, he is simple structure. The apex is the one guy who is, especially for small businesses, and he has all the exercise control over the operating core, and there's no much middle line for them, and techno structure, or also supposed to have a or is also absent. Only one man who run the entire organization. So therefore, in a simple structure, who is the dominant character? The strategic capex. Who develop? Who executed? We are not getting much support of others, right? So the simple structure, who is the uh, dominating building block? We call apex, right? He is the guy who formulate, develop, and put it and everything. Then the second guy, we look at the machine bureaucracy. The next structure we call machine bureaucracy. Now, in under machine bureaucracy relies on a robust techno structure. So machine bureaucracy, we are basically, what is the dominant building blocks? We call techno structure. So you can put under machine, dominant building block is techno structure with the creations of multiple layers, managers formulating production process, do different activities. We call machine bureaucracy. So in order to do their job, they have a different department, marketing, sales, like that. So that is what you call. And a machine bureaucracy, who is the dominant building block, is what you call the techno structure. Then we move into the professional bureaucracy. Now, in the professional bureaucracy, now similar to the machine bureaucracy, structures relied on, again they relied on technostructure, but apart from that, the structure is more democratic than the machine, right? That's called the bureaucratic. It's more on a democratic than the machine bureaucracy, and it is easier to motivating the people, but more dominated in the professional bureaucracy is an operating core, right? Operating core is more dominated building blocks in the professional bureaucracy structure. So they have the techno structure, but more dominant is operating core. You can just say professional bureaucracy, who is more dominant part is carried out under that structure is the operating core, but there is a support for techno structure as well, right? Clear? Now professional bureaucracy and all. So then we move into the next form we call a divisionalized form. Now divisionalized form, now say for an example, uh, is which is characterized by a middle line, right? So and a divisional form which is dominated by the middle line. So the large class of middle managers each take charge of the more autonomous division. That means, so there may be a lot of activities taken by the middle level block group. That is what we call the middle line play an important role in divisionalized form of organizational structure, right? Then there's another structure we call adhocracy. Adhocracy means again both support, like supporting staff and operating core, both are dominating in this activity. It is a task force. It is a task force or project based organization. It is a project-based organization. The important structure is adhocracy. So that means under this type of in this type of organizational structure, operating core and support staff will support you specifically for project based organization, and this type of structure is important. Basically it's dominated by both operating core and the support staff, right? And the missionary organization are formed on the basis of common set of beliefs, values, and shared by all workers of the organization. So so these are not much, but all are involving in all these all activities are taking place, specifically standardizations of activities. All activities are standardizing, right? So these are some of the type of uh, structures identified by Meansberg. Now, okay, if I ask you to just to see whether you understood this concept, right now, if you understood this concept, I will again go back again to the things what we have discussed earlier, right? What is Meansberg's effective organization? What Meansberg say? Wow, what is an effective organization? Right now, what in order to say it's an effective organization, Meansberg is one of the management guru has identified in an organization. Organization is made up of 5 parts or 5 building blocks. Now, what are these building blocks? Will important to achieve the organization goals and objectives, as well as to secure optimal competitiveness. Right? Okay, now what are these 5 building blocks identified by Meansberg? One, operating core. That means refers to the individuals who perform the task of producing a product or providing the service. Right? Operating core. Second set of subgroup or sub units or building block we call strategic capex. The people who formulate and implement the strategy. Third, middle line. So what is their role to see whether operating core is consistent and they are working according to the strategic capex. Middle line. So then the technostructure means key functional individuals. They are teams working as in functions like finance or marketing, like that. And the last one is like research and development, which are who are support. These are 5 building blocks identified by Meansberg. Now, based on the strength of these 5 lines, Winsberg identified 6 successful organizational structures. Now, these 6 structures are we call simple structure, right? Where is the apex guy who is looking after all, very small. Then the machine bureaucracy is purely based on the technostructure, the functional one. Then professional bureaucracy, they talk about both functional technostructure as well as operating core. And then we discuss about the divisionalized form, more dominated by the middle line block, and advocacy is operating core and support staff. Now, for further explain, for simple structure, direct supervision is taking place by strategic capex. Then machine bureaucracy is usually you're using technostructure for standardization of work using specified operating procedures, right? Operation for the machine. So usual operating procedures are established to carry out their work. Then the professional bureaucracy means basically standardization of skill, but there may be a different type of training needs and necessary skills to do the work, right? You must have a separate specific. That is what we talk about the professional bureaucracy. And divisionalized mean so standardizing of product. So that is why we have a more on middle line blocks, right? So then, having understood on that, I'll just to see whether you clearly understood the concept. If I ask you, according to the Winsberg, this structural configuration, I just asked from you whether you understood the concept. I know it's a little complicated, but try to understood this concept. According to the Winsberg structural configuration model, those 6 models, which one of the following structure occur when middle line is in the key building block? What is the answer? So now he has identified 6 structure. Now under the middle line is the key building block, comes under what configuration? Structural configuration. Whether it's a machine bureaucracy, whether it is a simple bureaucracy, simple structure, whether it's a divisional structure, whether it's a professional bureaucracy. Can you give me an answer? Divisionalized structure, which building block is dominated? Again, it is a basically middle line, right? Middle line will dominate. Machine bureaucracy, technostructure, then simple strategic apex, then divisionalized middle line, right? Then professional bureaucracy, operating core plus technostructure, but mono operating core, right? So you need to understand that very simple. I know you may have some confusion. තේරුණාද ඒක මං කිව්ව එක ඒක අලුත් concept එක anybody is not understood දැන් දන්නවා වගේ ඉන්න එපා මොනවා හරි තේරුම් නැත්නම් කියන්න I can tell it again. That's a new concept developed by Minsec. This is especially for CFA and the MBA level. They talk about these things, right? Okay, but in your case also, it may be benefited to you all. හරිද තේරුණාද සද්දයක් නැහැ කිව්වම තේරුණාද නැත්නම් මුකුත්ම තේරුන්නේ නැහැ දැන් මම නමක් කියලා ආන්නද එතකොට ඔක්කොම යයිද දන්නේ නැහැ නේ කොහොමද අසේල you understood ආවද සුරංග right කරුණාරත්න මදකලා දිනුෂ තේරුණාද? රෂ් දයපාරන් ජයවරුණි මම මේ ඔක්කොම ටික නම් ටික බැලුවා. හරිද? තේරුණාද? සද්ද නැහැනේ. කමක් නැහැ. Right? Okay. Now, therefore, I hope you understood, right? ඒක එච්චර ලොකු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි, but try to grasp that, right? Okay. So then, based on another aspects, we are going to discuss type of structures, right? Types of structures. Another way we can look at it, the type of structures. Now, we have identified the very famous 4 types of organizational structure. That is how Winsberg, they look at it earlier, the types of structure. But there's another way we can look at it, the structure based on organization. Now, remember, these structures are changed over time, right? Because sometimes it's a small structure. After some time, if the business is growing, that structure may change, right? There are 4 types of structures. What are these 4 types of structures? The 4 types of structures we call entrepreneurial structure, functional structure, divisional structure, and a matrix structure, right? What are these structures? Type of structures for an organization: entrepreneurial structure and functional structure, divisional structure, and a matrix structure. So what we are going to discuss now, we're going to understand what you mean by this structure and what are the advantages and disadvantages of these structures, right? What are the advantages and disadvantages of these structures? First, we take entrepreneurial structure. Now, this structure is built around the owner, the managers, and the typical small organization, right? At the early stage of the development of an organization, usually they're having the structure called entrepreneurial structure, right? That is basically where the entrepreneur has specialist knowledge of the product or services in the organization offers. That is the first structure, entrepreneurial office. So first, so graphical presentation, if you put it, entrepreneur, the owner of the organization. Next layer, employees. That's all. Not much big structure, right? So what are the advantages of entrepreneurial structure? What are the main advantages of entrepreneurial structure? Is fast decision making. Why? Only one person there, he can take decision. So levels of hierarchy is not there. So fast decision making, one advantage. So only one person, few key people making decision. So there should be decision made is very quickly, therefore, right? Second advantages is more responsive to the market, right? What do you mean by that? Now, if there are some market factors alters, basically you can take a quick decisions to adapt to or to respond to these market changes. That's the second advantage. Third advantage, we don't have a chain of command, right? Why? Less layers, boss, staff, that's all. So very small level. So therefore, remember, you have a good control. Why? There's no more layers. You can straight away monitor activities of all the other people. So there's a close bond of workforce, right? Small organization. Think about the organization. Small organization. Boss doing everything. He may have his specific knowledge. Only few people are working. Only one layer, no chain of command. Communication is very easy, can be monitored. Decisions taking is very easy. You can receptive to respond to the market changes very quickly than other organizations. That is entrepreneurial structure, What are the disadvantages of entrepreneurial structure, right? And that is the one of the disadvantages, career prospects, because all are in the same line. You can't see career prospect. So that is the employee side. You can't say any career, lack of career structure, because of you don't have a layers. So same people are stagnated in the same place. The main disadvantages of entrepreneurial structure is lack of career structure, right? And also you need to depend on the capabilities of the manager or the owner. So you need to depend on him, because he's the guy who may take more decision on the organization. Third disadvantages is you cannot cope up with diversifications or growth, right? It is very scarce. You can see diversification of businesses because they are willing to the same set of work, continue the work, right? And diversification or growth is very limited. So these are the some of the disadvantages of entrepreneurial structure. Right now, you understood what you mean by entrepreneurial structure. So less layers, therefore quick decision making, can responsive to the market quickly because of less people or less layers. He can control, and we have a close bound of workforce. Disadvantages of entrepreneurial structure: you can't see any career path in your ladder, and you have to depend on your boss, and difficulty diversification. Right. Now we move into this next level structure. So next level structure, we call them as functional structure, right? So now what is functional structure? Basically, this type of structure is often found in organization that have outgrown the entrepreneurial structure. That means, so you go for next level. If the entrepreneurial structure is more developed, you may look at it for go for functional structure. So functional organization group together employees that undertake similar tasks, like department. So that is a functional structure. Marketing, HR, finance. So you have some sort of a structure we call functional structure in the organization. So we have a board of directors or maybe top management. Then you have a marketing department under that, production, finance, personnel, right? So these are very functional structure. Right. I think you understood all these things, right? So what are the advantages? And now under type of structure, what we are discussing, what is entrepreneurial structure, what is functional structure, what is divisional structure, what is matrix structure, and we are going to discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of having structures. Right. Now we discuss entrepreneurial structure. What is entrepreneurial structure? What are the advantages and disadvantages? Now we are going to discuss, we in fact started functional structure. What is functional structure? I'll explain to you. Functional organization group together employees that undertake a similar task or into departments like marketing department, HR, finance, like that. So what is the structure look like? Maybe DGM or AGM or department comes under top person, CEO as a separate department. What are the advantages of functional department? So there is an economic of scale. Now, rather than duplicating roles in different parts of the economy, similar activities are grouped together, leading to low cost. So that is what you get a economic of scale. Then a lot of products are standardizations outcome. So products basically standardization of outcome and systems and etc. For functional structure, standardize. Other one, sometimes you see some specialized. So these guys are specialized for that activity. HR guys are specialized for that activity. So you can look at it. Specializations are taking place in that functional area. And also you can have some advantage where it is lacking in the entrepreneurial sector. It is what you call, you can see some opportunities in the career opportunities, right? You can see some career opportunities in the functional structure. These are advantages of functional structure. Then what are the disadvantages of functional structure? Disadvantage of functional structure, it is actually called empire building. Like big structure. So managers of the function may try to make decision to increase their own power within this within this division, within their function, rather than working in the interest of the company. That is what you call empire building. Empire building means like HR ke lokka, HR ke lokka wage in the. So he is not look at the entire organization. He tried to build an empire within that division. They think they are the good, they are the best people, right? Empire building, and also there may be a conflicts between certain functions, like finance always has some functions with operations and marketing. HR has some functions with finance, like that. There may be internal conflicts with these functions. These are some of the disadvantages. And also remember, the usually this functional, you have a lot of levels, layers. Therefore, chain of command is very big, very lengthy. So therefore, as a result, the decision making is little difficult. Not difficult, but it takes some time, right? And also, now say for an example, if you're an organization which is rapidly growing and diversified, so you may not have a better structure of function. If your organization is having a something changing, diversifying very fast, the functional structure is not the ideal structure. Right. Okay. So we discuss what is functional structure, what are the advantages of functional structure, and what are the disadvantages of functional structure. Right? Okay, clear? You understood. Then you look at it, the third type of structure, what you call divisional structure. Now, divisional structure occurs when an organization is split into several divisions, each one autonomy overseeing a product. Now, say for an example, divisional structure is ideal for SBU. SBU means strategic business unit. Again, I am telling you what is divisional structure is occurs, this structure is occurs when an organization is split into several divisions, each one autonomy overseeing the product. Now each division must have an autonomy, they will looking after this section, right? And say for an example, you say same organization, you have motorbikes, car, van, say for example. So then that division will looking after only that motorbike. That divisions look after only the cars. That divisions only look after van, like that. That is a divisional structure. Now this divisional structure can be based on product wise. Divisional structure can be based on product wise, can be based on geographical, can be based on customers. All right. Now, divisional structure can be based on geographic as well as customers, and as well as product wise. Now say for an example, product-based divisional structure. We'll take as an example, product-based divisional structure. Now, you can say top management, or say the board of directors, and you say the division 1, division 2, division 3, and under that you have a different functions, right? That is what you call separate division exists for each product. That is called the product-based structure, right? Okay, then the next one we call the geographical based structure. Now, so for this type of say board of directors, we have a northern division, we have a eastern division, we have a southern division. So that is a geographically we have a thing. So some banks we have a job area wise, central, western, like that area wise. Banks also can have a geographical base on divisional structure. Sometimes the base on that you have a separate division different functional area, right? So so what are the advantages of these separate units? They can act as a separate profit centers, right? Okay, so each division may have a functional unit, right? They have a functional structure. So their revenue, expenditure, capital investments are based on that particular division. So that divisions maybe can be considered as I explained to you. For an example, SBUs, right? Now, say for an example, Singer company. So they are manufacturing furniture. Then Singer company is having a separate product, AC. Another one, say for an example, television. Likewise, so product wise you can have it. Then the geographical base, as I explained to you, also can be comes under divisional structure, like certain areas, northern area, eastern area, southern area, like that. What are the advantages, right? Advantages is so growth possible, clear responsibility. So for products and geographical area, so you are looking after that area. So when you are evaluating, you look at the area wise performances, right? And also you may look at it further diversification in business, in particular that area. But there's a disadvantages of this method. There may be a duplications of work, or may sometime potential for loss of control, because they may have a separate way of managing, as well as specialty is not there, because you have the head office specialty, but the same specialty you cannot get it from area wise. So these are some of the disadvantages of divisional in terms of geographic areas, right? And then you have another area, what you call the divisional structures. Will have some is customer base. So customer base, so that also a good one, because of the customer base also you have a different type of customers to deal with. Even for a hospital, you have a different maternity, like that, different department, different hospital for different based on customers. So overall, so if you take the advantages of divisional structures overall, right? So if the organizations want to grow and diversify, functional structure cannot facilitate. But the divisional structure, if your organization want to develop you can use it divisional structure than a functional structure, right? And also remember, another advantage, you can focus on certain performances and profitability, right? Not all the areas, right? So you can take some actions about individual performances, about product area wise, as well as the product divisional and the customer wise, right? Okay, you can provide a better services by segregating the structure. But as I explained to you, one of the disadvantages of divisional structure is duplications of business function. So every department, every divisions need to do the same job. So therefore, there is a duplications of business functions, right? And therefore, each department or each division must have a separate finance division, HR divisions, like that. So therefore, duplications of business function. Next one is increased cost. Why? Why it is increasing cost? Because increased administrative cost. So you need to administer all these divisions separately. So those are some of the disadvantages of divisional structure, right? Okay. And we now move into the matrix structure. Now, matrix structure are combinations of, remember, it is a combinations of both functional and divisional structure. So that is why it is important. Matrix structure is a combination of both divisional and functional structure. Now you noted that the matrix structure format is like that. There is a function as well as division structure. It is a combination of both functional and divisional structure. So matrix requires a dual reporting of two different managers, right? So for example, looking at the diagram above, you can see diagrams in here. An employee manufacturing products. Okay, so one employee would have report to both project A as well as the project administration. So one manager one person need to report from both them. So that is the one of the major disadvantage. Especially this matrix structure is widely used in today's context in the project management, right? Project management. So what are the advantages of matrix structure? What are the advantages of matrix structure? Advantages matrix structures are you can make use of both the benefits, advantages of both functional as well as a divisional structure. Second advantage, you see a lot of flexibility is involved here and more on a customer orientation than other methods. And also it facilitates teamwork. Matrix organization facilitate teamwork. So what are the disadvantages of matrix organization? So as I explained to you, dual command and conflicts. Why one person need to report to two bosses? So there is a dual conflicts, dual command from two different people, and there may be as a result of conflicts. Kage ka handle, right? And also, so sometimes again, like the division structure, there may be a higher administrative cost and time consuming. So these are the some of the advantages and disadvantages of matrix structure, right? So now we just learned the type of structures. We discuss entrepreneurial structure, functional structure, divisional structure, and the matrix structure. So we discuss what is entrepreneurial structure, what are functional structure. Now, if I say functional structure, this is the some example, right? Functional structure example. So when we discuss about the divisional structure, it can be divisional structure, maybe it can be further divided into customer, further divide based on the product, and further divide based on the geographical area. So whatever the divisional structure. So then we discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages about the divisional structure, as well as entrepreneurial, functional, and divisional. And the last structure what we have discussed, the matrix structure. So matrix structure is a mixture of both functional and divisional. So advantages you can enjoy from the merge, functional and divisional, and the disadvantages also come from the both, as well as top of that we have a dual conflicts commanding situation. The one guy need to face two type of bosses, so therefore you may have a conflicts and time consuming, and also some administrative cost is high. So if a project based organization, the matrix structure is supposed to be an ideal structure, right? So I think now you have a clear idea about type of structure. Okay, so going back again to the students, okay, what do you think? Have you understood? A little bit boring area, but it's a very common thing. I just explained to you type of structures, right? Okay, what do you think, Asela? Okay, නැත්නම් බුද්ධ මොකද කියන්නේ? ඊශ්වර is Isiwara. Oh, I can't pronounce his name. Maybe Sapungoda. Okay, right. Kavindra. Right. Okay. Thank you. So now we're going to look at it another another area here. So matrix structure, functional. Now we are going to look at it something what you call centralizations and decentralization. This is another method of analyzing the structures of the organization. Is reference to the level at which decisions are made. We can consider centralizations and decentralization based on the decision. Now, what are the factors you are going to take into account with the centralizations and decentralization? Now, centralized structure, the upper levels of the organization hierarchy retain the authority to make the decision. That is what you call centralized structure. That means the upper levels of an organization hierarchy retain the authority to make the decision. So in the decentralized structure, the authority to make decision is passed down to the units of the units and the people at lower levels. That is the difference between centralized and decentralized. So centralized mean, again, the centralized structure mean the upper levels of an organization's hierarchy retain the authority to make the decision. Whereas the decentralized structure, the authority to make decision is passed down to the units and people at the lower level. So that is what to call the central and decentralized structure, basically based on the decision. Now, factors that will affect the amount of decentralization, right, depend on some factors, depend on certain factors. One factor is the management style. Now, say the managers who want to retain the control may operate and they prefer the centralized structure. So they want to hold the authority, hold the decision-making power. So they prefer organization to maintain centralized structure, right? So one factor contributing to the decentralization is what you call management style. Second, ability of management as employees. Now, what do you mean by that? Ability of management as employee. That the more able to employees and more decision they can be trusted, and with the greater level of their knowledge, they are more capable, more competency. So if you feel it, your employees are more capable, more educated, more sophisticated, and more develop their skills, so they can just pass the structure to take more decisions into the decentralization, right? Third one is the geographical spread. Now, now make now geographical spread may make central control more difficult, resulting in the decentralization structure. So certain decisions, right, we cannot take because of the spread your organization geographically. So this is more difficult, resulting in a decentralized structure, right? The last factor is the size factor. The size, the organization scale of activities. Example, for small organization can retain the level of decision making in the centralized, whereas this your size of the organization more big, more larger, the central decision making is difficult. So therefore, can go for decentralized decision making. So factors that will affect the amount of decentralization are management style, ability of management and employees, the geographical spread, and size, right? But in reality, remember, in reality, most organizations will operate a degree of both centralized and decentralized decision making, right? The extent of which will be influenced by the factors above, right? So therefore, in today's organization, you may use both centralized and decentralized methods, right? So they are using mixture of that. These factors will determine by this management style, ability of management employees, geographical spread and size, right? So centralized and decentralized are basically both in real life situation. Uh, Most organization will operate in degree of both centralized and decentralized decision making. Remember that, right? Not fully centralized, not fully decentralized, like divisions of our power in the country. Certain activities we are keeping, certain activities giving to the those divisional secretaries or palat sabha or whatever, right? But certain activities are keeping with us, certain activities are given to others. Likewise, so organization have a combinations of both centralized and decentralized activities. So what are the, if you really look at it, what are the advantages and disadvantages of decentralization? What are the advantages and disadvantages of decentralization? Okay, you can say, and what are the advantages of decentralization? So, top management have enough time to concentrate on more on a strategic level decision making or business development activities than day-to-day routine activities. Second advantage is so through the decentralization, the people who are in that area know better in that area. So therefore, they can take more better local decisions because of their knowledge, right? So ground level people, the surrounding people only know the better decisions. They get better decisions than head office centralized people. That's the second advantage. Third advantage, because better motivation. Because why? Because the other people having more empowerment to take a decision, right? So they can develop their decision making skill, thinking skills, and all through decentralization. And also again, having the decentralization, so you can take quick decisions. So these are some of the advantages of decentralization. What are the first advantage? Because the senior management can take more time for more strategic aspect. Second advantage, the local people know better than the head office people, right? In the some local area, local decisions can be taken. So third one, so they are being motivated. Why motivated? Because through the decentralized, those people empowered to take quality decisions, and thereby they improve their decision making power and things like that. The last one, so the decentralization structure facilitate quick decision making for changes quickly to the responses taking place in the environment. What are the disadvantages of decentralization? There may be again loss of control of the uh, senior management, lack of standardization, may go different decentralized units may take different way of decisions and things like that, and sometimes maybe we call diffusional decisions, lack of consistency. So different departments or different decentralized unit may take different decisions, and sometimes they may take some inexperienced decisions sometimes, and there may be a training cost, and difficulty of obtaining information, and the information be sorted in a different location. There is no centralized place to keep this information. The information is keep it separately. So at the end of this, you need to collect information from different areas. So these are some of the disadvantages of decentralization. So we discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of centralization, right? Now we now move into, now we discuss a lot of factors. Now, which structure you're going to select? So we discussed a lot of dimension about the structural dimensions about the organization structure. So which structure is the most appropriate for your organization? What are the factors you need to look at it when you deciding best structure for your organization? Which structure good for your organization? So there are some factors we'll need to consider. First factor, the size of the organization, right? So which structure is good, whether decentralized, whether centralized, whether uh, divisional, whether matrix, whether functional. So which structure you are going to select? Depend, first one, size of the organization, right? So the structure of the organization will tend to change over time, right? Now, usually organizations from entrepreneurial to, they'll be changing from once the organization at the very smaller level, you may use the what you call the uh, entrepreneurial structure, and then you move little bigger, you were going for a divisional, and then you further go is may you going for a division matrix like that. Because of the size of the organization, you may change your organizational structure. That's the first one. Second one, the type of organization. So how can you consider that? Now, this factor, remember, is closely related to the size also. Now, for example, think about the large multinational company. Think about the large multinational company may benefit from a matrix structure, right? Because number of layers of management. Whereas small partnership we find is important for entrepreneurial law functional structure, right? Because why few management layers are there. So depend on the organizational type, multinational and a small size, so your structure may be vary, right? Third point is the level of specialization. Now, the small organization, which you have a very narrow range of products, right? So, example, sometimes you may have a specific, uh, some organization, you may have a specific marketing or production. For that, you may go for what type of specialized structure? So you go for functional structure because these functions are specialized for certain things. Marketing for marketing, production department good for production. So therefore, it is ideal the level of specialized you required for your business, you may go for functional structure. So then you may go for specialist, for example, for level of formalization, it will be influenced by number of factors. The one factor will decide to select the which structure. Now, say for an example, if your organization, you have an informal culture, you may go for divisional structure, informal culture. So culture we are going to discuss little later on, maybe next week, but you may go for divisional structure. Then the next one, you look at the environment. Now, say for an example, suppose you working for a static environment, your organization working under static environment. So what is the ideal structure? You may go for entrepreneurial or maybe go for functional, right? But suppose your organization are facing very dynamic structure, dynamic environmental situation, so you need a lot of changes, so you may go for basically divisional or matrix structure, right? So that is the level of environment changes. If the environment is you are working in your business is a static environment, ideal structure should be functional. But if your environment is keep on changing, so you need to take quality quick decisions. So ideally is matrix and a divisional structure. So the other factor is the culture factor. Now, say for an example, uh, culture, suppose your autonomy as flexibility given to employees now. So because the culture as such in your organization, a lot of empowerment given to your employees. So it is ideal for autonomy and matrix structure. Suppose if your culture is more on a more controllable, so it's better for functional structure, right? It's depend on the culture of the organization. Then the next one is the technological change also decide your structure. Uh, it can be affected in numerous ways. One, suppose you need a little changes in the technology, so you may go for normal functional way. But suppose you may can go for robots, automated products line. You don't want have a more supervisors, and then you go for matrix structure, right? Like this. Okay, so these are the some of the factors you need to take into account under structural dimension. So before we move into the next section, so that is the organizational forms and boundaries. So let me just summarize what we have learned after the break, right? Just for you to understand better, right? Okay, so after the break, so we discuss the structure. why it is necessary for an organization, a particular organization structure, and what are the factors you need to take into account. What do you mean by a good structure, right? So it resources are efficiently utilized, better monitored and controlled. It show the accountability of the people and better coordinations and things like that. And then we move in to discuss about what do you mean by a Mintzberg effective organization. So Mintzberg has identified 5 parts or 5 building blocks as operating core, then we have strategic capex, middle line, technostructure, support staff. Right? There are 5 building blocks have identified. And further, mix try to configure based on these 5 basic building blocks. What are the things comes under each structure? Yes, based on that, he has identified 6 successful organization structures. First one is a simple structure. Now, what is simple structure? He's talk about the simple structure is basically having more on a strategic apex is the more dominant player. Then we discuss the machine bureaucracy, who is the main dominant body or party is what you call technostructure, that is more or less a functional level activity, right? And then we discuss the professional bureaucracy where you are more dominating the operating core and technostructure also support. Then we discuss about the divisionalized form structure where the middle line play an more dominant role. The advocacy is basically more on supporting staff as well as the operating core playing a dominant role. The missionary organization, there is not any particular dominant role, but all are sometimes to different level it will affect. So then we discuss in more details the types of structure. We discuss 4 types of structures. What is entrepreneurial structure, what is functional structure, what is divisional structure, and matrix structure. Under that, we discuss what are the advantages and disadvantages of these individual structures. And then we discuss the finally the centralizations and decentralization. So what do you mean by a decentralization and what do you mean by a centralization, and their advantages and disadvantages. And finally, we discuss, having learned the different type of organizational structures, which structure to be decided for your organization. It may be depend on various factors: size of your organization, organizational type, level of specialization you require, level of formalization, the environment which the organization is operating, the culture of your existing organization, and what are the technological changes you are going to face while you operate in your businesses. So based on these 7 factors, you can decide what the structure you required for your organization. Right. Now going back, what do you think? Have you identified? Have you identified the type of structures? Okay, got an idea. What do you think about Champika? තේරුණාද? අවබෝධයක් ආවද? Then Kavindra, Karunaratna, Kalpana, මම මේ නම් ටික කියනවා. Jana, කවුද? Jana Varuni. Okay. Kavindra, okay. Karunaratna, okay. Kalpana, okay. Right.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you very much. Okay. Now we are moving to little bit of interesting area. Right, little bit of interesting area before we wind up today. So you look at it now, the different type of organizational forms and boundaries you come across. It's very interesting, right? Very interesting of all these things, right? Okay, so let's identify first closed and open system. What first we look at it? What do you mean by closed and open system? Now, so first one is called open organization. Now, we'll say an organization you usually view as a system. Right now, it's a common accepted norm. Organization we can view as a system. Now, what do you mean by systems? Means systems. Now, our body is a system because it consists of lot of sub functions like respiratory systems. Likewise, our system, our body is a system, right? It's an organized system, right? Okay, so organization therefore can be viewed as a system. There are two types of systems we identify. One is open system and other one is a closed system. What do you mean by an open system? The open system interacts with its environment. Right, that is what you call open system. Open system interact with this environment through giving and receiving information. So that is what you call a open systems, giving and receiving and information. Now, an open system, there is a realization that interacting with main facts of the environment. Now, say for an example, for management decision may be influenced by suppliers, right, and customers and competitors. Now, because we are collecting information and giving out for to the environment, so our decision making depend on maybe our customers' activities or maybe our competitor activities or our supplier activities. Now, it is depend our business is depend on the decisions we are going to take based on this external information. So what do you mean by the closed system? The closed system, so we don't have a much relationship or getting interaction with external environment. So therefore, so in the closed system, so we have not much interact, so therefore we can't get more information. Now, remember, like earlier what we discussed about the centralized and decentralized, today's organization, contemporary organization, both use centralized and decentralized decision, right? But likewise, it is in the modern organization, we need to consider external as well as the internal environment. You need to look at it both external environment and internal environment. So the closed system, we look at it only the internal environment. But open system, we look at it more on internal environment. So therefore, in today's context, we need to look at it. The modern organization, you need to consider the external as well as the internal environment. Now, sometimes the closed system can hamper growth, sees the flow of information, say, stays within the system, and there is no chance to interact with or build knowledge from the outer environment. Now, say for an example, we learned the machine bureaucracy. We learned machine bureaucracy is an example of close. Remember machine bureaucracy under Mintzberg, we'll discuss about the machine bureaucracy. So, example of close. So, holding efficiency and control is the highest goals there. So, therefore, today, remember what we are looking at it, both closed and open system. We need to look at the internal as well as external. Right. Next time, we are going to discuss something little interesting. Now, that is what we call hollow organization. We call boundaryless structures. Boundaryless structures. Now, what are boundaryless structures? We don't have a a boundary-like structure means we don't have a particular structured design, particular structured design, right? And we don't have a formalities, not hierarchy levels and things like that, right? So that is what you call the boundaryless structures. We don't have a rigid, unstructured design. Those are unstructured design. These are not constrained by having a chain of command or formal departments like that what we have learned, right? There's a lot of flexibility. Now, it is a contemporary model of organization design which adopts more flexible approach to structure. So boundaryless structures do not have a strict formal structures, formal chain of command, formal departmental structure like that, but it's more on a flexible approach structure for the organization. Now, actually, these boundaryless organization structures, it is not so novel things that was developed in 1990s by the chairman of General Electric during 1990s. We call Jack Well. So he come up with ideas. Organization must have a boundaryless structures, right? So boundaryless structures can be identified. Organization has three type of organization. One is hollow organization. Second, virtual organization, and a modular organization. Right? There are three types of organization, boundaryless organized structures you have come across. One is hollow structure, other one is a virtual structure, third one is a modular organization structure. What do you mean by a hollow structure? Right? The hollow organization, one is relies heavily on outsourcing. Right? Remember, hollow organization structure relies heavily on outsourcing of its non-operative activities. Non-cooperative activities. Remember, co-activities. So that means whole organization get the works done from other organization, especially for non-co activities, right? So through that, what they are trying to do, staffing levels or capitalizing on competencies, partner organization, focusing on more on core competencies activities, right? So they're more concentrating on more core activities than non-core activities. How can they do? Through outsourcing. So we are going to discuss outsourcing more detailedly later. But what do you mean by outsourcing? Mean contracting some of the job what you have done internally to a third party. So that is outsourcing. Now, can you give me an example for hollow organization? Very famous hollow organization is by Nike, shoe company Nike, Nike. So what the Nike organization is a hollow type of organization, right? What they are doing is, so they subcontract the production activities for other people or other countries, maybe other organization. So only the production, but they retain the control over design and quality specification within them. So the production part they are giving to separate people. So that type of organized structure we call hollow organization. We call hollow organization. Right now, you know what you mean by hollow organization. Example, I can quote is Nike. Right? Not all they are made co-keep with them, but the shoe production will give it to the other parties. Right? So then The next one is what we call virtual organization. Now, virtual organization outsource most of its functions to other organizations. Virtual organization mean uh, they are giving all sort of functions to outsources. They are exist as a network of contracts. They are involving a lot of people. When they few any functions being kept it, only few activities are taking place in more or less all the activities are giving to other people. That is what you call virtual organization. Remember, that virtual organization structure developed because of the development of IT, because of the information communication technology, right? So all the things we are getting done for through from where we are getting done all these three from uh, all the other networking companies, right? So technology make it if possible virtual organizations, right? Uh, then, so example for virtual organization, you can think about Amazon, right? Alibaba, right? They do all things through IT. Amazon is an ideal example for virtual organization, right? And say for an example, if I think about the virtual example, think about the firm manufacturers wedding dresses for an example. What they do? It could outsource everything, design to wedding dress design. Then marketing to a specialist marketing team, manufacturer to subcontractor, delivery to specific logistic team, right? Collections of money from customer for debt collection company, then tax owes to separate accounting company. So all the activities was given to different network organization. So that is virtual organization. Remember, through the virtual organizations, you usually reduce the administrative cost, improve the flexibility. They look like bigger than what we are feeling, so they don't have it anything. So the last structure we call modular structure. So modular structure, it is an extension of hollow organization structure. It is an extension. Now the modular, now hollow is we are giving only part of their operating, not all, only none core activities only given. But the modular organization, uh, what they are doing is basically it is an extension of hollow structure. It breaks down the production process into modules. Right now, production is outsourced, but each organizations have a responsibility to produce one item, right? So what they are trying to do, not give it to one party, so the production entire. Now what happened in hollow organization, the production process is given to one party, only one party. But in the modular organization, that even for that production process, further divided, further break it down to different organization, right? Okay, so it further production process not only given to the one party, going to the different people. Like lot of mobile phones and Samsungs and all, the China is doing that. Different parts are done by different people, not by one organization, right? Okay, so they are done by different one part from here, one part from X, one part from B, like that, different company. The entire production process further break it down to the different people and giving to different kind. That is called the modular organization. That is extensions of whole organization, right? So what is the advantages? We are going to look at it, all these things. Now classic example for modular organization you can quote as Boeing company. Now, Boeing means aircraft company. So once you complete the Boeing company, though you know the aircraft, you need different equipments now in the production. So what they are doing, they are giving for different party, not only for one guy to give the production material, but give different parties. So that is a classic example for module organization is the Boeing company, right? So therefore, these are the some of the boundaryless structures. Okay, so now if I ask you something from you before I wind up today, anybody can give me an answer whether you understood this concept or not, then I can check, right? Final questions of the day, right? Can anybody give me an answer for this? Okay, if I say I put it to you like this, say there is a pharmaceutical international pharmaceutical company named A, for example, right? A is a international pharmaceutical company. Now, these board of directors of a company had outsourced any functions not considered to be strategically important to the third party suppliers. That means they are not strategically important. Some of the functions given. Now, what is the boundary structure you are adapting what you have for this pharmaceutical company? Can anybody tell me? Now, we discussed there are three type of boundaryless company. One is hollow. Hollow means entire production is given to the third party, which is supposed to be not significantly important, no not core products like Nike. Nike will keep the quality as well as the design part with them. Those are the important things. Whereas the we call them as the virtual mean everything is just given to outside, right? The next part is the what you call the modular is giving production part to outsource, but not the entire production. Within the production, we further divided and give it to different people. If it is the case, what may be the answer for this pharmaceutical company? Their board of directors are given only strategically important to third, which are not strategically important to third parties. What is the method we are using? Whether it is virtual, hollow, or modular.
Hello.
Follow, right? Hollow, right? Hollow, not follow. HOLLOW, hollow. Right. Answer is correct. So I am happy. At least one person giving me the correct answer. So I will retouch these things in next week, and we are going to cover next week the culture and the what are the advantages of outsourcing and things like that, the culture, power, communication, right? And these are the three areas we are going to cover under organization. Then we cover the organizations part this year. I hope you got something out from today's lecture, maybe little different than what we have learned before, but I hope I have done something. Don't worry, if you have any problem, just communicate to me next time. So this certain areas I have not understood, I will redo it next week, and we'll see you. I have another lecture at 1 o'clock, so the same place. Then we will see you on next Sunday, 8:30, to do the balance communication part. Right? Final thing, whether you got something today, that's what, at least one thing you have learned, new thing. What do you think? You have learned new thing today, at least one part, one thing you learned new today, totally new. Yes or no? The chat එක. So then, right? Okay. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you. So then we will see you on next Sunday, sharp 8:30. I will discuss with you, and please go through your notes. Right. That's enough. Thank you very much. Have a nice week, and be careful. You know the issues today we are facing. So we take adequate necessary precaution before getting this bloody 19 into your body. Okay, see you on next Sunday.